let's consider a couple different scenarios here. A couple different ways we can look at it. So in my graph A here, we have a supply and demand curve, and we're talking about this price here. Right? At this price, I have some amount of supply, and we're just going to call that S for now. And I have some amount of demand. We're going to call that D for now. Well, I see here that the supply is less than the demand. Right? We have more people willing to buy the item and not enough product to please all the people that are buying the item. Not enough product. So we call this a shortage. The word for this case is shortage. So what's the response here? Well, the response here is to accommodate for the shortage, the supply will increase, right? We need to make more. But businesses want to make money, so if they're going to make more, that means they're also going to raise the price. In turn, the demand drops. The demand could drop for a variety of reasons, probably because most people already have one now, but also because the price is going up and I don't want to pay more for this, right? Manufacturers might think that consumers will pay more if they really badly want the product, but this doesn't always become the case. So again, we're starting to see this check and balance. Here's another case where maybe the business overshot their price increase. So here's our new price. And you can see that my supply, oh, these are backwards. My supply is up here and my demand is down here. Okay, so my demand is here. My supply is here. Well, now we notice that the supply is greater than the demand. We have too many items and not enough people buying. Well, so this we're going to call a surplus. I've got too many. We have a surplus of items. So what's the reaction? What's the effect of having a surplus? Well, the manufacturer is going to decrease the price. The very first thing we're going to do is saying, I can't get these off the shelf fast enough. How am I going to do that more quickly? I'm going to make this thing cheaper and more people will want to buy it. So if the price decreases, the demand increases, and then the businesses get exactly the way they want, the supply decreases, I'm selling enough that I need to. You can maybe start to see this become a bit of a back and forth. Surplus, shortage, surplus, shortage, surplus, shortage. Well, here is my sweet spot. Here's my price, and here's my point. And this is the point where the supply and the demand are exactly the same. Well, this sweet spot we're going to call the equilibrium point. And this is a point where supply and demand are exactly the same. I'm selling as much as I'm making. This is kind of a theoretical point. We will never be able to get exactly this, but we can get pretty darn close. And we'll always try to get pretty darn close because this means that our retail is working really well. Our sales are working optimally. So here's my equilibrium point. This is just the intersection of supply and demand. There are other kinds of changes, though, that we can have. I have been hinting at this during the entire video. We call these shifts. So the demand curve can shift either positively or negatively, and the key word here is independent of price. Right? The demand for an item can change independently of the price. That's why brand new iPhones still fly off the shelf when they're $1,400. And that's for any other extraneous reason that would cause a customer's decision to change about buying the product. These could be things like just because it's new, Maybe there's some sort of celebrity endorsement. Right? Maybe Tom Brady endorses the new whatever thing, and that makes it more popular. Right? These would be positive things. Maybe there's some kind of associated health risk. If you remember back when the new Samsung phones were literally exploding in people's hands, that's kind of a problem, right? So that's going to be a negative shift on the demand. Fewer people are going to want to buy that thing no matter how low you drop the price. Maybe there's just some kind of bad review. Um, Things like trends, right? Maybe something gets really trendy. Maybe something becomes not trendy. Fidget spinners might be a really good example of this. This can happen to the supply curve too. Maybe there's suddenly a shortage of whatever you need um, to make your product. That's why things become on back order. Maybe you have too many of something all of a sudden. All I can think about with a shortage of supply, with a shift in the supply curve, is the way suddenly we all ran out of toilet paper when COVID started. And even now, you really can't get toilet paper anywhere. This is an outside thing independent of price that changed the way we buy toilet paper. So it changed the supply curve without changing the price. This would be called a shift in the supply curve. So there's one more topic here that I want to talk about in this section, and that's starting to talk about the question of how businesses really make their money. Right? So we have a retailer, right? We don't always buy straight from the manufacturer, right? We don't go straight to whoever makes the fidget spinners to buy the fidget spinners. Sometimes we'll go to CVS and pick one up. We might not always buy our iPhone from Apple directly. We might get it at Best Buy. So this retailer is going to act as a middleman between the wholesaler, which is just the manufacturer, and the consumer. So for example, I'll stick with my Apple thing. Maybe Apple makes our iPhones. They're going to sell them directly to the retailer. So maybe my retailer here is Best Buy, just because I know they have a little Apple kiosk. Well, in order for Best Buy to make money, they need to raise the price on the items that they're buying from the manufacturer or the wholesaler. Well, to do that, they're going to raise the price in order to make a profit before selling it to the consumer. This change in price is what we're going to concern ourselves with. And we call this change in price the markup. Right? So the price that the manufacturer charges the retailer is the wholesale price. Right? So sticking with Apple, they're going to sell it to Best Buy for a certain price. This is the wholesale price. Well, retailers are going to add a markup before selling the item to the consumer because they want to make money too. Well, this new price is called the retail price. Right? So the price you're paying is the retail price. So from this, very simply, it follows that the retail price is equal to the wholesale price plus the markup. And that's all it is. These problems are really not any more difficult than just simple percentage problems. So two quick examples. If a manufacturer sells these giant teddy bears at a wholesale price of $26, the store is going to mark up the price by 110%. So I want to know what the retail price is. All right, well, I should probably figure out what my markup is. How much in actual dollars am I marking up my price? Well, I'm taking my $26 and I'm marking it up 110%. So I'm going to turn my percentage into a decimal just by moving the decimal 2 places to the left. I'm going to multiply these together, and I believe I'm going to get, what, 2860? Oh, sorry, that's, yeah, 2860. And then this is my markup price. So my retail price is going to be the wholesale price plus the markup. So I'm going to take my 2860 and add that to my 28. Sorry, my 26. It's going to give me 5460. And that's going to be my retail price. That's all I'm doing here. I just did that percentage in my head, So I really hope I did that correctly. Check my math, tell me if I'm wrong. On the flip side, maybe I can work this backwards. Cole sells a t-shirt for $15, right? So this would be my retail price. This is the price I'm buying the shirt at. But they purchased it from the wholesaler for $7. So I want to know by what percentage did Kohl's mark up the t-shirt? Well, let's stick with our retail price equals wholesale plus markup. The retail price is $15. It was marked up by some amount at a wholesale price of $7. So the markup itself was $8. But we're not done because I want a percentage. Right? This percentage is of the wholesale price. So I want to say what percent of 7 is 8. And the way we're just going to do that is divide 8 by 7 and multiply by 100 to turn my decimal into a percent. And this is going to give me 114% approximately. So these are really the only two types of problems you're going to encounter with markup. Pretty basic algebra arithmetic problems, percentages. The challenge, as it always will be in financial algebra, is reading through the word problems, not so much the math itself. It's more going to be a challenge of reading the word problems. My biggest tip, always mark up the problems just like I did, and you'll be just fine.